Good morning and welcome to this special meeting of the Independent School District 279 School Board on October 12th, 2020. Pursuant to Minnesota Statute Section 13D.021 in the current state of emergency due to the COVID-19 pandemic, this special session of the Independent School District 279 School Board will be conducted via electronic means. Superintendent Corey McIntyre and Board Chair Mike Ostafi have determined that due to health pandemic and emergency declaration, a meeting format allowing for in-person attendance by the school board and superintendent is not practical or prudent for this special session. Members of the public are able to attend this virtual meeting in person at the Educational Service Center under CDC and MDH guidelines. The special meeting of the Independent School District School Board is now called to order at 7:34 a.m. on October 12, 2020. Board members joining us by video conference, please respond when I call your name. Director John Bristol.
Present.
Director Kelsey Dawson-Walton.
Here.
Director Heather Douglas.
Here.
Director Jackie Mosqueda-Jones.
Here.
Director Tanya Simons.
Here.
Superintendent Corey McIntyre.
Here.
And I, Mike Ostafi, am present. General Counsel Tim Palmatier is also logged in to this video conference. The topic, the agenda for the school board's consideration and action is 279 ready to restart the Osseo Area Schools Learning Model recommendations. Super McIntyre, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair Ostafi, and good morning, board members. Thank you for, again, meeting at this early hour. I want to start by thanking you for your work over the last couple months on our 279 Ready to Restart Opening of Schools Safe Learning Plan levels and our key readiness indicators and dashboard. I appreciate the support you've shown through your actions for the opening of the school year, with starting the year on the 14th of September and then 2 weeks of distance learning, and now in our current K-12 hybrid model. The time that was provided to ensure all safety requirements of the Minnesota Safe Learning Plan was appreciated and able to be implemented here in Osseo area schools. The board decision on Tuesday, September 29th was to move to full in-person learning at the elementary level with hybrid at the secondary level starting on Monday, October 19th, based on the county and city case rate data at the time and our readiness, key readiness indicators. However, due to increasing virus case rates in Hennepin County and our local communities, and to ensure we're in compliance with the governor's executive order and the Minnesota Safe Learning Plan model, I'm bringing a new recommendation in response to those changes we were seeing. So this morning, I'm asking the board to approve my recommendation to delay the move to full in-person learning at the elementary level and stay in our current K-12 hybrid learning model. I'm going to briefly present some updated information as the basis for that recommendation. This slide here represents the state model parameters for county case rate counts and the learning models for school districts. Please note that the learning model for the county case rate data between 20 and 29 is hybrid learning for all students. Decisions about learning models are based on parameters determined by the state. The school districts are required to ensure that the learning model they choose falls within those parameters. The state has made it clear that it'll intervene with if a district chooses a learning model that is less restrictive than the parameters allow. I know some are interpreting state guidance as offering flexibility to local districts, implying that districts can make exceptions to those parameters. This is not an accurate interpretation. In addition to complying with the guidance from the Minnesota Department of Health and the Minnesota Department of Education, school districts must comply with Governor Walz's executive orders, which carry the force of law. This slide here represents the Hennepin County case rate data that has increased back into the mid-20s or low to mid-20s here at the county rate of 22.1, which is in the category of K-12 hybrid for all students, the model we are in right now. This slide represents our city level data. The three largest cities are all in the mid-20s, with Brooklyn Center now at 27.8, Maple Grove at 25.4, Brooklyn Park at 24.6. This local data strongly supports continuing in the K-12 hybrid model at this time. Oops. Through my required consultation with the MDE and MDH regional support team and Hennepin County Public Health, they've all given us very strong and very clear guidance to follow the county data and be in alignment with the executive order of the Minnesota State Safe Learning Plan model. with us staying in K-12 hybrid and not moving to full in-person learning at the elementary level at this time. The key reasons for this action include the fact that case rates continue to increase across the county and in the cities in our district, and there are continued concerns about community spread. There's also increased concern regarding the record number of cases each day that we've been seeing lately, and that we can expect to see those numbers show up in our weekly county and city case rate data used for school model decision making in the reporting periods to come. Moving to full in-person learning at the elementary level would be out of compliance with the Minnesota Safe Learning Plan model and would require permission and approval from MDE and MDH and the regional support team, along with Hennepin County Public Health, which we do not have at this time. This decision means that elementary students would not be returning on October 19th for full-time in-person attendance as previously planned. All students except those enrolled in our distance learning academy would remain in hybrid model until further notice. So some additional comments. I just want to stress again, as I have many times, that over time here in the last few weeks and months, trend data suggests one of two things. Case rates go down, it will allow us to use a less restrictive model and more in-person learning for students when the system's ready, and as we've evaluated that through our key readiness indicator metrics and dashboard. If case rates trend up, a more restrictive model is required by the state plan. Since early August, we've continued to try to communicate that we expect movement among between learning models throughout the year based on evolving virus activity. We're also providing the Distance Learning Academy as an option for parents and students who wanted the certainty of no movement and the assurance of distance learning only for the entire school year. I also wanted to add that we're experiencing increased positivity cases in our district and in our schools and in our hybrid model. Our hybrid model gives us the best opportunity to have students back in school and keep the primary health precautions of wearing masks and social distancing in place while in the hybrid model. If and when we can move to an all in-person model for elementary school, and we're able to implement that, that will not be able to be done with strict social distancing. And without the ability to do that, we could see even higher positive cases and numbers in student and staff quarantine rates or occurrences, and that could jeopardize our ability to keep our schools open. So in closing, please know that we do not take this decision lightly. I know it's affecting lives of all of our families and staff and students. And for some, it means added stress. For others, it will bring relief. I've heard from many parents who strongly oppose this decision, and I've heard from many parents who strongly support it. Please know that I understand there's no easy answer here. There's no way to please everyone with any learning model decision, and with that, we will continue to base our decisions on the state direction and guidance and in compliance with the parameters provided to us. I've said before and want to say again, I know these are extremely trying times for our students, their families, and our staff. In a typical year, we would know what school should look like. In this year, however, because of the pandemic, change has really been the only constant, and it's really challenging our collective spirit. I sincerely appreciate the patience and understanding of all of our stakeholders as we navigate these challenging times. Please know that the goal of my revised recommendation is to try to ensure that we provide our scholars with the best educational experience possible during the school year while doing it as safely as possible. So with that, Chair Ostafi, my recommendation is to delay the start of the in-person learning at the elementary level and continue in our K-12 hybrid learning model in accordance with the requirements of the Minnesota Safe Learning Plan. Thank you.
Thank you, Superintendent McIntyre. Board, do we have a motion to continue in K-12 hybrid?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
For discussion, I'll call on each board member, and I have a list here. First is Director Mosqueda Jones. Do you have any questions for Superintendent McIntyre or any comments?
I don't have any questions. This is hard for all of us, and I understand that, and I appreciate Superintendent McIntyre's comments to reflect the trying times that we're all dealing with.
Thank you. Director Douglas.
I don't have any questions. I just echo the sentiment that this is really challenging, and we are definitely hearing a lot from people who are really disappointed and people who really strongly support this decision. And I would also reiterate that a lot of the decision making process here is really directed by the state, and it's not a choice necessarily. So, thank you.
Thank you, Director Dawson Walton.
Yeah, I would just echo. I love Superintendent McIntyre when you said the collective spirit, and I think that as we move through this year, I think we've tried to look at the numbers, look at the readiness, look at the safety, and really be responsible and responsive to our community needs. And it really is a lot of parameters uh, set by the state. And I appreciate how much work has gone into this from our families, our students, our teachers, all of our educators, and our superintendent. So I just want to just thank everyone, and just I'm very just hopeful that we can really come together as a board, because we've heard so many sides to people's experiences and perspectives. So thank you.
Thank you, Director Simons.
Yeah, I'd also, want to recognize that this is so difficult for families and creating real, tangible hardship for families. So I want to recognize that, and as well as the challenge of dealing with the lagging indicators, the timeline to need to be ready, and then to execute. So it's a frustrating cycle, and hopefully we can continue to have as much information as we can and readiness to shorten that cycle, so that we can be responsive. And I'd echo what Director Dawson Walton said. I thought that was well put, that we're seeking to be responsible and responsive to our community in this decision-making process. And I appreciate all of the work that's gone into the decision model, all of the work to plan for these different models and ready ourselves, knowing that we'll need to move among them. Um, so I just want to express that appreciation for everybody involved and for our teachers who are working to make that successful. And with that, I think that's really the most critical piece at this time, is ensuring the models are absolutely successful for our students, regardless of what model we're in. And so with that, as we continue to have board meetings and provide guidance, I think that we need to begin to evaluate how to ensure that we've got an advisory council from families, so that their voice can be heard, and some type of input from a advisory standpoint from our teachers as well, which I know that there's different groups up and down the ladder. So maybe just making that more visible on what we're doing there. So I think that's really where our attention must be, is ensuring that we're very clear about what success looks like and that we're achieving that success. And again, thank you, Superintendent McIntyre, for all your work on this.
Thank you, Director Bristol.
I'd like to echo my colleagues' thanks to Superintendent McIntyre and the team for the work that they've done on this. And I'd like to acknowledge all of the feedback that we've been reading, on all sides of the issue. I think it's important for us to constantly underscore that we are working within parameters that some of these things are outside our control. And even if we wanted to vote to keep the kids in school, which I think everyone here universally is predisposed to want to see the kids in school, if at all possible, in a safe way, and in a way that's compliant with the law, so that we wouldn't run the risk of being outside the law. Since we can't do that at the moment, we just want you to know how much we care about what's going on in the homes. We care about all the things that we've been reading, and your voice is not being overlooked. So while we take this vote today, we do it with a heavy heart, and we hope that everyone can pull together while we wade through and hopefully see this thing subside. Thank you.
Thank you. Superintendent McIntyre, except for the mandate from the governor and the limit that is imposed upon us, is there anything on our dashboard that is keeping us from going to in-person for elementary at this time?
Well, the only thing that could be a big barrier for us is if we see continued case rates amongst our staff or students, and you've heard us talk about our staffing limitations. So I do get concerned about our ability to staff our buildings should we see more illness spread through our system.
Okay.
So that concerns me, in addition to the other parameters you mentioned.
But at this point, nothing would be keeping us from going. You would not make a different recommendation outside of meeting the law, correct?
From our readiness standpoint, we have those pieces in place. It's really just the prevalence of the virus activity in our communities and in the county.
Okay, and again, to reiterate, there would be consequences from the state. They could withhold our money. They could, I'm not sure what else they would do, but we have to follow this law. There is there's no way around that at this time, correct?
Correct. Any school district in Minnesota is not allowed to have a lesser restrictive model, and if they did, the state would intervene.
Okay. So, a lot of people who are writing and telling us to please go forward, we don't have that choice. That would be a decision for the governor to make. So with that, is there any, we'll just now call the vote. Roll call vote will be taken by the board secretary, Sherry Lincoln. Ms. Lincoln?
Director Bristol,
I vote to approve the superintendent's recommendation.
Director Dawson Walton,
Aye.
Director Douglas,
Aye.
Director Mosqueda Jones,
Aye.
Director Simons,
Aye.
Director Ostafi.
Aye. The motion passes 6-0. With that, we will continue in our hybrid learning past the 19th. We will not be going into elementary at this time. And we all hope and pray that the COVID case rate numbers fall so that we can take our children back into elementary full time. Superintendent McIntyre, any final comments?
No, I just want to echo Director Bristol's sentiment, and I think this is all weighing on us and with a heavy heart because we all do want to have our students back in school safely, and we're going to continue to follow the model until we can be at that point. So I think that was well stated, and I just appreciate all the board members' comments this morning.
Okay. With that, do we have a motion to adjourn at 7:50 a.m.?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
A motion and is seconded. A roll call vote will be taken by the board secretary. Ms. Lincoln?
Director Simons,
Aye.
Director Mosqueda Jones,
Aye.
Director Douglas,
Aye.
Director Dawson Walton,
Aye.
Director Bristol,
Aye.
Director Ostafi.
Aye. Motion passes 6-0. We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.